It's John Bowden from Rock History Music, and we've got some of the guys from Triumph talking about another three-piece band from Canada, Rush. Both bands are no longer doing their thing, but luckily, considering all the people we've lost lately, we still have the three Triumph guys. We lost Neil Peart a few years ago, but Alex Lifson and Geddy Lee are still doing their thing as well. Well, the title of the video is We Owed So Much to Rush. That's Triumph's Rik Emmett talking about that. And like I said, we've got some of the Triumph guys talking about Rush on Rock History Music.
I always felt like, um, I guess this goes back maybe a little bit to that whole pedantic kind of teacher thing that I always felt like it wasn't enough just to entertain. There also had to be a level of informing and even challenging on a certain level that it's going to like we're going to expand our consciousness a little bit, you know. And I mean, obviously, I loved artists like Bruce Cockburn was a guy. He would challenge, you know, Dylan's lyrics would challenge people, you know, and he would say, like, I don't care. I don't care if you don't like it or not. I'm sticking it in your face. You know, this is what's going to happen. Um, I was a little bit more sort of gentle about it and a little bit more, I would try and be more seductive in my approach, but I was going to try and sort of elevate the discussion a little bit, elevate the atmosphere a little bit. And I mean, Rush had a lot of that. They were a very, on a certain level, pedagogical kind of thing. Like there was technique in what they wanted to do. There was, you know, a really heavy duty ensemble integration thing that was occurring in whatever that band chose to do, that's a very progressive state of mind that, no, we're going to play in odd time signatures and just to show you that we can, and we're going to do it really, really well just to show you that we can, and Triumph didn't really have any of that, so when it came to, like when I originally wrote the song Blinding Light Show, which was on the first Triumph record, and I was in a band called Act 3, and it was a much more progressive, much more like a Rush. It would probably have been much more like a Rush kind of thing if it had survived. It didn't survive me leaving to go to Triumph. The drummer from that band ended up becoming the frontman for a band called Zawn, which CBS signed later, and it became a different thing. But then again, you can see that theatrical nature that he had, that would have been part of Act 3. I would have been in a band that would have maybe had that. Anyways, so I've lost my thread. So Triumph was, this thing that we were always trying to be accessible in a way that maybe Rush wasn't, but we owed so much to Rush because of the fact that they were big. They were really big, and they were big in an international kind of high echelon kind of way. They made unbelievably great, outstanding sounding records, and they had this progressive chip on their shoulder constantly. And we were more about, let's write some songs that'll really work when we play arenas. So. And I think in the end, the loyalty of Triumph fans is because of songs like Magic Power and Lay It on the Line and Fight the Good Fight and, Ordinary Man. Those kinds of songs, those evergreen tunes for Triumph, they're more of that FMAOR kind of, a little bit more than Rush, which is not to say Rush doesn't have it too. They do. But they weren't tune writers. They weren't necessarily. They would, create their songs from parts. Oh, Alex has got this riff, and Geddy's written this thing, and Neil wants to play these fills over this time signature. So they would stick that all together. And progressive stuff is often like that. When you listen to Dream Theater, it's like that's a lot of that. Like it's not really a song. You're not hearing somebody's tune. But Triumph was more about just kind of songs. So we kind of get fans that are very loyal because that's what they like. They can really sink their teeth into that, But guys that are air drummers, they're going to pick Rush every time.
Oh, God, yeah. Why did people compare? Why do you think people would compare Triumph to Rush?
It's really easy. three-piece band from Toronto. There's only out of three-piece bands on one hand that you know of.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's true.
So it's an obvious comparison. That's just the way it is. Like if you didn't know what a Triumph was or what a Rush was, and you listened to a Rush song and then you listen to a Triumph song, you'd go, there's no comparison at all between the bands.
Yeah.
Because there really isn't.
I was just talking to Terry Brown 2 days ago. I was saying, how did they keep that under wraps? I said, how did they keep that? No one knew. He says, I didn't even know that he was sick.
Yeah.
He says, I didn't know that he had.
Those are individual choices. And certainly the Rush camp, they knew how to play things close to the vest. Their whole life, anybody that they ever hired had to sign the NDAs, like they knew they were just on a whole other level, and I know Alex a little bit, and I know that Alex is friends with like Dave Gilmour of Pink Floyd, and I know that they could travel in those circles and get, advice and insight, and Ray Daniels would be able to get it on those levels, so that they would go, so maybe this is a good way to deal with it. This is a good way for us to cope, because Neil was not the kind of guy that wanted to live a public kind of life. He didn't even like doing interviews, and he didn't like going to meet and greets. He didn't like any of that stuff,
Terry says he barely knew him. Terry Brown, their producer for the heyday, says, I didn't know Neil Peart that well.
Yeah. Geddy's going out and doing a book tour, and that blew my mind. I went, really? Okay, wow, okay. But I think part of it is, now that the Rush thing is done, I think both Geddy and Alex, they've kind of relaxed in a way that when Neil was part of it, they couldn't relax because Neil was not a relaxing kind of guy. Neil was wired in a certain way that I've read his books. I'm on ECW Press, which, that was also the company that Neil was with, for his books. And I think he was a private kind of a man, and so I think it made it so that Rush realized, well, we have to respect that. That's 33 1/3 of what we're about, so.
You and Alex Lifson, you became closer to him than anybody in Rush, right?
Yes, yeah, and he played on the Res 9 record. He played on a couple of tracks. We cut it at Metalworks, and we spent the day there. And he's a sweet guy. He's a wonderful guy. He's extremely talented, creative guy. When Neil went off on his going to ride my motorcycle around the world, and I'm maybe going to quit the music business, Alex did stuff like he would go and take a job in a winery in California, so that he could learn the business of a winery right from the ground all the way up. So he would go and do that, and he has that kind of a mind, and I've done things where I've done little paintings for a charity, and then Lifeson's painting shows up, and it's like Lifeson is like, Renoir, and I'm like, some bad, Peter Max, Jackson Pollock. I'm throwing the paint on the canvas, and Alex has actually got technique, and I'm going, oh my God, this guy, he's so talented, he's so great. But he's sweet, and he's calm, and a great guy to be around. I don't know the other guys in the band very well at all. I didn't know Neil and Geddy. The most I know about Geddy is that he's got great seats at the Blue Jays games. We see Geddy when the Blue Jays are actually playing home games. You can see Geddy in the second row behind home plate, and he has a scorecard. He keeps score, so he takes the game serious. One of the things that Geddy and I share, by the way, is his son apparently ended up playing baseball at a high level, and Geddy would go down into Blue Jays practices, and he would shag flies on batting practice and stuff. And I never shagged flies, but I have been out at my son played NCAA Division I baseball, and went to a pretty high level, and he once got a workout with the Blue Jays with Butterfield, the coach, put him through a workout, and
No kidding.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, I've got pals that were Blue Jays broadcasters and stuff. I knew Jerry Howarth very well, and Jerry and his wife and my wife, we'd go out for dinner occasionally and stuff. And Jerry was he'd open the doors for me, and then we'd get to know the TV guys, and now I knew them, Campbell and Jamie Campbell, and so one thing led to another. I'd be able. So we have a connection there. We both love baseball, but that's
Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so you don't miss anything. Like our videos, comment on them, and share them on social media. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take good care of yourself.